2 Chronicles chapter 36. The reign of Jehoahaz. Then the people of the land took Jehoahaz the son of Josiah and made him king in his father's place, in Jerusalem. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began his reign, and he ruled for 3 months in Jerusalem. But the king of Egypt deposed him in Jerusalem and imposed a penalty on the land of 3 1/3 tons of silver and 66 pounds of gold. The reign of Jehoiakim. Then the king of Egypt made Eliakim his brother king over Judah and Jerusalem, changing his name to Jehoiakim, and took Jehoiachin his brother and carried him off to Egypt. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began his reign, and he ruled for 11 years in Jerusalem. He did what was evil from the perspective of Adonai his God. Nebuchadnezzar king of Babel attacked him and bound him in chains to carry him off to Babel. Nebuchadnezzar also carried the articles in the house of Adonai away to Babel and put them in his temple in Babel. Other activities of Jehoiakim, including all the abominations he did publicly and those discovered later, are recorded in the annals of the kings of Israel and Judah. Then Jehoiachin his son took his place as king. The reign of Jehoiachin. Jehoiachin was 8 years old when he began his reign, and he ruled in Jerusalem for 3 months and 10 days. He did what was evil from Adonai's perspective. In the spring, King Nebuchadnezzar sent and had him brought to Babel together with the valuable articles from the house of Adonai, and made Zedekiah his brother king over Judah and Jerusalem. Zedekiah does evil. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began his reign, and he ruled for 11 years in Jerusalem. He did what was evil from the perspective of Adonai his God. He did not humble himself before Yirmiyahu the prophet speaking on behalf of Adonai. Destruction of Jerusalem. He also rebelled against King Nebuchadnezzar, who had made him swear loyalty to him by God. Instead, he became stiff-necked and hard-hearted, refusing to turn to Adonai the God of Israel. In addition, the chief Kohanim and the people grew increasingly unfaithful, following all the abominable practices of the other nations, and they polluted the house of Adonai, which he had consecrated in Jerusalem. Time after time, and frequently, Adonai, the God of their ancestors, sent word to them through his messengers, because he had compassion on his people and on the place where he lived. But they ridiculed God's messengers, treating his words with contempt and scoffing at his prophets, until the anger of Adonai rose up against his people to the extent that there was no longer any remedy. Therefore he brought upon them the king of the Kasdim, who put their young men to the sword in the house of their sanctuary. They had no compassion on either young men or young women, old men or gray-haired. God handed all of them over to him. All the articles in the house of God, great and small, the supplies in the house of Adonai, and the supplies of the king and his leading men, all these he brought to Babel. Then they burned down the house of God, broke down the wall of Jerusalem, put to flames all its palaces and destroyed everything in it of worth. Those who had escaped the sword he carried off to Babel, and they became slaves to him and his sons until the reign of the kingdom of Persia. Thus was fulfilled the word of Adonai spoken by Yirmiyahu, until the land has been paid her Shabbats. For as long as it lay desolate, it kept Shabbat until 70 years had passed. Proclamation of Cyrus to return to Jerusalem. Now in the 1st year of Koresh king of Persia, so that the word of Adonai spoken by Yirmiyahu might be fulfilled, Adonai activated the spirit of Koresh king of Persia to proclaim throughout his entire kingdom, and put in writing as well. Here is what Koresh king of Persia says. Adonai, the God of heaven, has given me all the kingdoms on earth, and he has charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, in Yehuda. Whoever there is among you of all his people, may Adonai his God be with him, he may go up.